Today's show is brought to you by Here is our host, a person whose birth certificate is an apology letter from a condom factory, Gary Monteroso.
Anyone who is familiar with people in the southern New Jersey area, especially in Cumberland and Atlantic counties, and for that matter, watch Channel 22, Quinn Broadcasting, Comcast Channel 22, well, you have to know this woman because she's doing some remarkable things even now. And this is, I'm going to call her Millie Maddness because everyone knows you as Millie Maddness. Millie, thank you for joining us here on What's on Tap.
Thank you so much for having me, Gary. It's a pleasure and honor to be here.
It is good to see you, even if it is virtually. It's better than nothing at this point.
Absolutely.
I want to ask you, because there's so many new things that have gone on in your life over the last few months, especially since the pandemic took place. But tell me about Global Media Society, and the website is globalmediasociety.com. I want to know what that is, because this is you.
Yes, absolutely. Global Media Society is an organization that basically helps with public relations, helps with media and stories, with blogs, with everything that has to do media-based. And it is an extension to what I do already. My background is in media communications, public relations, and this is a company that is all about that.
How long has it been in existence?
Been in existence for about close to 10 years already. However, it's been the last 4 to 5 years that has really, it has grown and has become more of a known name now.
I have to tell you that during our time at Quinn Broadcasting, seeing you in the studio every so often, I wasn't aware of this company. Honestly, I wasn't.
Yeah.
So I went on your website, which again is globalmediasociety.com. Please check that out. And I got to look through and see some of the things you're doing. I think it's fantastic. You're doing a tremendous job, as I mentioned at the top of the segment, helping out people in need. I love this. I'm going to talk about some of the things specifically that you're doing. And one of them is helping farm workers throughout southern New Jersey. And let's face it, our area, Cumberland County especially, relies on farm workers. We take for granted going to the supermarket or going to the farm market and buying our produce, but someone has to get it there. And there are some remarkable people doing this. So tell our viewers some of the great things that you're doing to help farm workers of southern New Jersey.
Absolutely. At this time, I'm working with the Community Food Bank of New Jersey. And basically, we identify food gaps and needs. And we try to fill that need, fill the food gap. And basically, we have done several distributions. Yesterday was thus far the biggest farm worker distribution that we've had. And we fed about 600 farm workers yesterday.
Fantastic.
It was something that was a very humbling experience. I worked with a great crew of volunteers. I'm thankful that the farms, the Atlantic Blueberry Company, opened their doors and hosted and allowed other farms and their workers to come pick up food at their location. So it's truly a blessing. It's something that I enjoy very much, helping the community. At this point, this is our third one. We did our first one in Vineland, New Jersey, Seeking Flower Farm. And we did our second one at Barsuglia, also in Vineland. This one was at the Atlantic County Blueberry Farm in Atlantic County. And we look forward to doing others and helping those in need, especially the farm workers. They work very hard. At the end of the day, they have to figure out what they're going to eat. Sometimes it's not as easy as you and I getting in a car or going somewhere. Sometimes they have to ride their bikes long distance. Sometimes, you know, they really don't want to go anywhere because of everything that's going on. So there's a lot of things that can be barriers for the farm workers. And we're just trying to relieve some of that stress and some of those barriers for them.
If you weren't doing this, it wouldn't get done. That's what I have to say about this. And these are, in some cases, forgotten people. We don't think of them, as I mentioned earlier, and yet they have needs also. These are human beings with problems, and as you mentioned, you know, shelter, just the basics of life.
Yeah.
And you're helping to fulfill those things, and you know, we have to applaud you for that here on What's on Tap. Congratulations for what you're doing. The Food Bank of New Jersey, Community Food Bank of New Jersey, which, as you mentioned, is in EHT, Egg Harbor Township, for people who are watching this online and may not know what the letters EHT mean, but they actually represent and help take care of people from multiple counties, correct? It's not just Atlantic and Cumberland counties, but I think a couple other counties as well.
Absolutely. We service the whole entire state of New Jersey.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we have our headquarters up in Hillside. And they take care, for the most part, of a lot of the North Jersey people area. And we, at the Egg Harbor Township, we service a lot of the southern part of New Jersey. So yeah, it's not just Atlantic and Cumberland. I do monthly distributions in Burlington, Summers Point, Galloway, Ventnor, Atlantic, Cumberland, and Rio Grande, just to name a few.
Oh, so you're even getting into, it's even Cape May County for that matter. Yes. Holy cow.
Yes, yes.
And you mentioned you have a team of volunteers working for you. Are these primarily students? Are they adults? Who are these people working with you?
It varies. It's a combination of both. It depends where the distribution is.
Okay. I lost your audio. Can you hear me, Millie? I've lost your audio.
Can you hear me?
Now I'm hearing you. Okay, good. Continue. That's good.
Okay, great. Some of them have volunteers that have been coming for years.
Okay.
And then some of the places, locations such as Cumberland, and some of the new ones that I do, like farm distributions, we actually have a lot of the youth that's coming out to help. So it varies.
It does. So you can't do this without business supporting you either. So we have to applaud them.
Right. Absolutely.
So congratulations. I mean, that's something I guess that you do. I guess you're probably contacting businesses who can provide support, correct?
Yes, absolutely. We're always in need of a hosting site or just help volunteers. So.
Well, fantastic. Now, of course, you have so much time on your hands. I have to say this, but let's talk about a couple of the other things that you do. I don't know, really, I don't know where you get all the time to do this, because what you've described to me takes you out on the road probably on a daily basis doing this work. But I want to talk about something that may be a little more recent, and that is the Landis Theater in Vineland on Landis Avenue. This is a building that was dear to me growing up. I can remember certainly going there as a little boy watching movies, but also a lot of people don't know this because I've kept it secret. I had a band back when I was a teenager, and I believe it was on Friday nights they used to have like an open night for bands to come on stage and perform. And I think if you won, you win $25 for the night, which was massive money at that time. But the Landis Theater is a landmark, and I believe, you better help me out on this, but it is state and federally recognized as a historical landmark?
Yes. Yes, it is. This is the first time that it's been really privately owned. The owners, the new owners, they really are in desperate need of help. Right now, just as an example, you know, Dollar Tree or Rite Aid can come and buy it and turn it into, you know, whatever.
Anything they want.
And this is an area that we already have limited opportunities for our youth, for our children, and taking this away will be a huge disservice to our community, and not have the ability to have the arts for families to go out. Some kids, you know, it helps them stay off the streets where they're able to do summer camp in the theater. Just so many reasons why we should really come together and try to help save this theater. Right now it's on the market. They don't want to sell it, but they really have no choice because the funding that they had, that when COVID hit, basically just went, you know, they just felt like they weren't able to get the funding that they needed because of COVID. So now they're in jeopardy, and now they're really just calling out to the community to help somehow save, so we can have more community and historical events in that theater. There's a lot of history, and we really should come together on this and try to help them in any way that they can, because it is a landmark in our community, and it has so many positive benefits that it will really be disheartening to see that building be anything else than what it is.
Millie, I know that the owners, I believe their names are Ray and Casey, if I'm not mistaken. Help me out if I'm wrong.
Yes, correct.
But they plowed a lot of money into that. And as you mentioned, they had so many prime events planned for this year, including, as you said, you know, camps for the kids. They wanted to do that. They put a lot of money into renovating that building. But also, I believe, help me out on this one, the restaurant, there's a restaurant and a bar like right around the corner there that's attached to it. That was theirs also?
Yes, correct.
So I guess they never got that off the ground. That didn't reopen?
They were unable to. Yeah.
Wow, because let's face it, let's be honest, there were some problems going back a few years in terms of ownership there, and it wasn't Ray and Casey.
No, it was not.
There were things that happened and had gone downhill.
Cleared, you know, I feel like people don't want to support because of maybe previous issues or things that they've heard, but
you may be right. You may be right because of previous, I wonder if people are aware in our area that these are not the same people. These owners, Ray and Casey, are not the same people from which the problems started.
Yeah, and they deserve every chance and opportunity to open those doors. They're new owners. They've invested their heart, their soul, and every dime that they've had into this. And, you know, with COVID hitting, I mean, it's just endless, the unfortunate businesses that have had to close. But being that this particular one happens to be a historical landmark for us, you know, I really need people to know that they are new owners, and they really do deserve the opportunity to open those doors, and our community will really benefit from it opening their doors.
So I'm going to guess here, you better help me out if I'm wrong, but when you're recognized as an official landmark, historical landmark, that means that the building itself should be preserved, but it doesn't have anything to do with what type of facility it is. As you mentioned earlier, it could be turned into a pharmacy, it could be turned into a bank, but you have to preserve the structure. Am I correct on that?
You know what? I have to be honest. I'm not quite clear, but
I'm not either.
I believe that you are correct. But I'm not clear.
I'm not either. I'm just wondering, and obviously my head is spinning around here thinking about whether there are state or federal monies that could be available. But God knows the state and the federal government are being hit up for so many things right now that I guess it's tough to try to secure anything from them. Is there any type of website or any way that people could go online and find out how to support the Landis Theater?
Yes, absolutely. The Landis Theater has its own GoFundMe page.
Okay.
So if you can please go on there and donate any amount, will really help them out. So it's just the Landis Theater GoFundMe.org.
But it is unfortunately actively up for sale, although the owners don't really want to do that, correct?
Correct. Correct.
It would be heartbreaking, you know, if someone who you didn't know this, but I grew up in Vine and lived there until my adult life began. But the Landis Avenue and the Landis Theater were so dear to me back then. I mean, you go there, like I said, every weekend to see a movie or listen to a band play. And, it's a structure that I hope can be preserved in its entirety as it is right now. That's what we know it. It's a theater. Wow. Okay.
What we're really hoping for, so that our youth to have those same experiences, you know, and same opportunity.
Did you grow up in Vineland, Millie?
I did. I grew up in Vineland. I went to school in Vineland. I graduated from Vineland High School. And basically, after I graduated high school, I moved to New York. So I lived there for 15 years and just moved back about 5 years ago.
Okay. Didn't know that. Were you in Manhattan?
Yeah, Upper West Side.
I love Manhattan. That is New York is my favorite city in the world. I'll be on a record saying that. I love New York City.
I love New York. 155 and Riverside Drive.
That'll never go away, will it?
Yeah, no.
Oh my! Anything else that you can report for us? I know there's so much more you're doing. Honestly, you know, and also helping. I believe you're helping some immigrants too. Aren't you doing some work with? You know, maybe that ties into the farm workers a bit, but you're helping people who have been here for a while to stay.
Yeah, absolutely. I recently went and supported, actually we had at the Landis Theater a very civil, you know, it was a protest, but it was more just creating awareness about the undocumented, about how they work so hard, they pay taxes, and they really get overlooked, and they really just have so many great needs, and just kind of creating awareness. So I like to support, you know, whenever I can, people in the community. I've just always kind of been that way, so you'll see me involved in things here and there, but it's always a positive movement and always a positive cause. So
isn't it curious, Millie, that when times go bad, sometimes the cream rises to the top? I see stories from so many good people who are pitching in and helping out where they just see a need. They just want to fill that need. And I applaud you. And I think all of Cumberland County should applaud you for what you're doing to help out people and organizations. I mean, congratulations to you for what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Millie Maddness. And I think I'll be seeing you at Brass Tap sometime, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm still waiting.
Well, I just talked with Gary Singh, the owner of the franchise today. And I'll be stopping in to see him this coming week and see what we can do to get things rolling over there, because we want to support good businesses and good people.
Absolutely, and I'm with you. So.
Sounds good. You will get an invite. Now, I'm going to give you that website again. I'm going to go over that, globalmediasociety.com, globalmediasociety.com. We'll get that on the screen also for you. And Millie Maddness, our girl Millie Maddness. That's what you always said on your show, right? This is your girl Millie Maddness.
Absolutely. I look forward to also in the future, once this all settles, to be, you know, back in the showbiz again.
Good stuff. All right, Millie, thank you for joining us here on What's on Tap.
Thank you so much, Gary. Thank you.
Okay, see you soon.
Take care.
It's Platt, and today we try a beer from Alaska. That's next to Platt's Beer of the Week. So today the particular beer we're trying is Alaskan Amber. Comes to us from the Alaskan Brewing Company. A little backstory on Alaskan Brewing. It was founded in 1986 in Juneau, Alaska, which is the capital of Alaska, by Marcy and Jeff. Check the notes real quick. Marcy and Jeff Larson. They're a married couple, and they still run the brewery today. So almost 35 years later, they still run the brewery. Still keep us kind of a small mom and pop kind of family operation, even though the brewery has grown quite a bit. The brewery itself is the first in Juneau since Prohibition. Obviously, anybody opening a brewery in 1986 was kind of ahead of the curve on the whole craft brewery movement, so they're definitely a inspiration and very pivotal in the craft brewery movement. The brewery itself produces 7 beers year-round. They are the 19th largest craft brewer in America, so they definitely built something, even though they're in a remote part of the world. They currently distribute to roughly 25 states or so. Generally, in the western half of the U.S., I think Ohio is as far east as they go. Unique little story about their flagship beer, this Alaskan Amber. When they were creating the brewery, or when they were planning the brewery, Marcy Larson decided to do a little research and discovered some stuff about a brewery called Douglas City Brewing that had been in Juneau around the turn of the century, late 1890s, early 1900s. And in a newspaper article she found, they talked about one of the beers that brewery made, and they even gave the recipe. Well, she gave this information to her husband, and he crafted a beer off of that recipe, which became the Alaskan Amber. And still to this day, that is their flagship beer. Being based in Alaska, the environment obviously is pivotal up there, and so the brewery itself is very proactive as far as the environment goes. Alaskan Brewing was the first brewery in the U.S. to recapture its CO2. If you're a home brewer, you know that one of the byproducts of fermentation is CO2, and Alaska Brewing recaptures that CO2 and uses it to condition their beer. And also a little trick, if you've never seen a bottling line, they will blow CO2 in the bottle to get any oxygen out, so when they cap that beer, you're not worried about oxygen in there and oxidizing the beer. So Alaska Brewing utilizes that excess CO2 instead of it just kind of escaping in the air. They capture it and use it for a purpose. Also, something unique they do at Alaska Brewing is most breweries take their spent grain and just give it to a local farmer, and he feeds it to his livestock. And again, that's a useful way to do it, and it's better than filling up landfills with it. Well, obviously there's not a lot of cattle ranches up in Alaska, so what they do is they end up drying out their spent grains and then using it in their the boiler in the property, and they use that to heat the property and for electrical needs. They end up cutting back their energy expenses 65%, so it helps save their energy use. So Alaska Brewing, proactive as far as environmental issues go. Well, before we try the beer though, let's check out the stats. So before we try this beer, I have to give a little bit of disclosure. I was actually born in Alaska. My father was stationed up there when he was in service. We left when I was 6 months old, so I haven't been back. But Alaska's always had kind of a warm spot in my heart, so I thought I would give you a few fun facts about Alaska. First fun fact, 17 of the 20 tallest mountains in the U.S. are in Alaska. A lot of mountains up there. There are roughly 100,000 glaciers in the state of Alaska, covering roughly about 5% of the area of Alaska. If you know how big Alaska is, that's quite impressive. The northern lights are visible in Fairbanks roughly 243 days a year, so there's a good chance you go to Fairbanks, you can see a good little light show. Juneau, the capital of Alaska and home to Alaska Brewing, has no roads in and out. The only way you can get to Juneau is either by boat or by plane, but you're not driving there. And finally, there is one bear for every 21 people in Alaska, so I guess each neighborhood gets their own bear or something like that. Well, those are just a few little fun facts, but enough talking about Alaska. Let's drink some beer from Alaska. Alright. Oh, there's a nice amber color. I want to say a shade darker than like a Samuel Adams. We got a nice, about finger width, light khaki head. A little malt on the nose. Let's give her a try. Oh, it's nice. Very nice. Kind of reminds me a little bit of a Shiner Bock. I know this is a style-wise more like a German alt beer, but you know those German alt beers, especially more amber color, whatever, have kind of a Vienna lager, which is what Shiner Bock, even though they use the term Bock, it's more of a Vienna lager because of the lower ABV. We're at 5.3 on this one, so most Bocks be at a 6. So there's just a little lower than that, but it's in that same vein of just a very nice drinkable beer. Little malt forward, balanced, body's medium. Yeah, medium. I wouldn't go medium plus. Medium body, plenty of malt. You get a little bit of some of the, you're not getting chocolate or whatever, those dark malt notes, but you're getting more of a like caramel, a really good toasted bread notes. Yeah, this is a nice drinker. This would be a beer I would suggest, again, if you've got friends that aren't craft beer people, but you want to get them out of their, you know, American light lager thing, this could be a beer you could move them into. Especially, I can see this being a more fall type beer. We're in spring now, but still light enough body wise where you can drink it when the weather warms up a little bit. Overall, decent beer. Well, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please subscribe down below. Also, please like the video because it lets YouTube know we're putting out good content. Any questions, comments, concerns, or beers you would like me to try, please leave them in the comment section, or you can contact me on the Twitter page. Well, until next time, bottoms up.
We will now pause for station identification. This is NUTS.
Wow.